Welcome. This is a short video to introduce you to SCANALYST3, a barcode verification system that has come out that does all of the modern barcodes. It's a state-of-the-art barcode verification system for linear codes and for two-dimensional codes, as well as what they call DPM, which we'll talk about. So this is the first of several videos that are planned, and it's this one is simply to give you an overview of the system and to show you how easy it is to calibrate the system and to use it. Some of the future videos that are in the works will include the types of barcodes that can be used, and as I mentioned, the various types of linear codes that are currently in common use, 2D codes that are becoming much more common, and DPM, which you will find also becoming more common. We'll also have a presentation on barcode quality standards, for instance, the inspection parameters that are used in the ISO test methods, the common problems that occur with these parameters, and how you can go about fixing them when you have them. That's the important part, I guess. And then we'll also talk about barcode application standards. Specifically, we'll talk about GS1, which is the granddaddy of specifications at this point, widely used all around the world, truly a global specification. We'll talk about AIAG a bit, and other specifications that or standards that are in play, electronics, chemicals, etc. And then future application standards for things like the tracking of perishable foods and drugs, etc. Then we'll have a separate presentation on the onboard database. The onboard database is becoming much more important for people that are trying to do it right. For instance, in process controls, this is a statistical process control type database that can be used to analyze what is right or wrong about your codes, and that helps a lot to improve things and make changes and improve things. Develop the best practices, etc., for your company by sharing information between one location and another location, and if you've got it really good, you can share your information with one of your peers at another plant, for instance, to help them. It also is important to for compliance type applications, for instance, healthcare, retail, etc., where it's important to keep records, because there may be a regulator or a customer that comes and asks you to show proof that you did the inspections and that they were all okay. Also, the database is just important. It's part of your tool set to get better, and it's going to be one of those situations where you're going to want to get better over the coming years. The database is also important for those that have ERP applications or governance applications from companies such as SAP or Oracle. And we'll be talking about how they can link to our database. Another presentation will be on diagnostic tools that are on board SCANALYST, things like scan profile analysis and reflectometer. We'll talk a little bit about techniques, how to verify barcodes on unusual surfaces, surfaces with curves, for instance, or how to verify very small barcodes or very large barcodes. And then, as I mentioned before, DPM, direct parts marking, marks that are made with laser or dot peening can be scanned using SCANALYST, and we'll talk about that. Then finally, we'll talk a little bit about integrating SCANALYST3 into your business processes for quality or compliance, and into your manufacturing systems. So if you have any suggestions for other types of discussions you'd like to have us present, feel free to drop us a note or call us. We appreciate the feedback and the input. Our objective is to help you understand barcode verification and what it can do for you, and hopefully some of what we talk about will gradually be incorporated into your situation, and some of what you suggest will be incorporated into SCANALYST3. So I meant to say some of what we suggest here will be incorporated into SCANALYST3, so you have even quicker and easy access to the information when you need it. We intend to include some of the information in these presentations into the help system for SCANALYST3, so they're always accessible at the time that you need them. This makes the application much more useful and allows people to use the system without being, heavy levels of training. So then, let's take a look at SCANALYST3. So this then is SCANALYST3. As you can see, it's a relatively small pod. It's light, easily handled, and about the size of a baseball, actually. It's equipped with a standard mount that can mount onto any kind of camera accessory, such as a tripod that's shown here. It has one connector, which is the USB connector, through which it receives both power and communications. There's no external power supply required. You just simply connect it to a PC like we have here, a laptop, or a tablet running either Windows 7, Windows 8.1, or Windows 10. It's based on a digital camera, which is contained in the pod, and one of the LED light sources is in the pod as well. The additional LED light source is a set of clip-on legs that can attach to, for instance, the legs of the tripod, and to eliminate the target from an angle, to take care of glare in the event that you have a glossy surface. All of the lighting is 660 nanometers, which is the specified wavelength for barcode inspection. This high-resolution camera can be used at various distances, so we have a focus ring that you can use to adjust to get best focus. Let's put it back on its tripod now. And when you first plug this unit in, like a standard USB, you'll hear the PC recognize the connection, the USB SCANALYST connection. You can start the SCANALYST software, which is now running. And one of the first things you're going to do, if you haven't used it in this configuration before, is you're going to calibrate the unit. This is a trademarked calibration label that we designed for use with SCANALYST. You just place this label in the field of view, and you initiate the calibration procedure with one button. Pretty easy. And when you do this, what's actually happening is that the various lighting conditions and distance, things of that nature, are being looked at by SCANALYST, and various settings are being made to regulate the exposure that the camera gives to these test images. So it's adjusting that now. It has finished the adjustment. Calibration is now complete, and you can return to the inspection and place your target image in the viewing area. For instance, this is a data matrix code, and we'll change this to data matrix up here, and inspect it. So this code was printed as a grade A, as you can see here, and it is inspected as a grade A as well. So in this section here on the screen, you can see the overall grade is shown. The overall grade is the lowest of the various parameter grades, which are shown here. In this case, they're all A, so it's a very good code. You can see that we've illuminated the various elements or cells in the code that we found in analyzing it. And there's a lot of detail here about this particular code. This is all detail that can help analyze what's wrong when there is something wrong. An operator can add comments by opening this box and just typing in whatever the comments are. They can save the record to a database. They can send the record via email. This application is compatible with the Windows suite of Office applications. In other words, it's using Microsoft Outlook for sending email. So it'll make a reference to all of your contacts, etc., you know, or a list of your suppliers. You can print it to the local database, or I'm sorry, the local printer, or any printer you select as well. Very good for collaboration. When you send this via email or save it or print it, the image of what was inspected is part of that record. So it makes it very easy for people to see what was inspected, and it reduces the chances of confusion or, you know, leaving questions for the person you're collaborating with. So that was Data Matrix, a 2D code. It does handle all the common 2D codes as well as linear codes. And I'll put this back on live so you can see the live screen. Move this out of the way. And here's a linear code. That test code is actually made up of a few code 128s. So I'm going to switch over to code 128 here. And this time, instead of just looking at the entire field of view, I'm going to look at a specific region of interest. By clicking this, it takes the image, and then I can select what area I'm interested in seeing. I'm going to look at this bottom one. And tell it to inspect. So it found that and inspected it 10 times. These lines indicate where it inspected the code. With linear codes, you're required to scan it 10 times and cover the height of the overall height of the code. So we've got some B's and some A's and some F's. I wanted to show you in linear codes that, you know, you can go in and you can expand the results and look at the individual results from each of those 10 scans. And remember that the last one was an F, and we can go in and we can see why that is, and it's modulation. So modulation is the ratio of the minimum edge contrast to the symbol contrast. So that particular code did not pass that test. You can also go in and you can see the scan profiles for each of the 10 codes, and we have 3 or 4 different displays here to show you the best code, or best, you know, scan versus the worst scan. All of the codes together. This one will show you, you know, the uniformity of the printed symbol, and then you can scan through each of the individual scans to see the results. You know, if you want to look at that 10th one, for instance. Very complete. You can see it's highly graphical, and what we have found is that a picture really is worth 1,000 words. That turns out to be true. So that's why we do include the inspected image in all the records, email reports, etc., along with the ISO parameters. In the database, there's approximately 100 fields in all, and so there's enough information in there to do in-depth analysis of your barcode production, and with enough detail to help you, find a problem and get a quick resolution. There's an onboard database, which I can show you here, but it's a different it's another subject in its own, and we'll do a separate movie on that. But the database opens up 8 user-defined fields of view, or user-defined fields, where you can define how you want to use SCANALYST. If you're in a production environment, for instance, you may want to indicate what machine you're inspecting, or what production line you're inspecting, or what warehouse, etc. And who's doing it, and what the purpose is. Is it an initial inspection or a process inspection where you're, for instance, changing a ribbon on a thermal transfer printer and you want to inspect afterwards? Things of that nature. Or if you're inspecting a lot of product, a production lot, for instance, and you want to indicate that you are inspecting it, you can use these fields to save that data to the database record. And the database, by the way, is also compatible with the Microsoft Office suite of applications. So you can open that database, for instance, in Excel, and your staff personnel can do impromptu reporting and things of that nature. So when we designed SCANALYST3, we recognized that for barcode use in the future, you're going to be wanting to do much more verification than you have in the past. We're getting to the point where it's not just a production tool; it is a data tool. So the data, requires that you be more attuned to getting every barcode scannable and getting every barcode correct, easily scannable. So that means verification. And it also means that there's going to be lots of points along the supply chain where you're going to want to do verification. So to us, that means that the system has to be pretty flexible, should be portable, definitely have to have the records to support your process, support your efforts to be compliant with your industry standards. And it has to have good communication. Those graphical images moving around with all the data really do help you collaborate and fix whatever issues pop up pretty quickly. Thank you. I hope you get a chance to take a look at the rest of the videos when they surface, and we're looking forward to doing work with you. Thank you.